technology.
This is a News Channel 2 special report.
Good afternoon, I'm Don Shipman. We are breaking into programming right now because we want to continue our live coverage of the presidential visit. He is set to arrive at Griffiths International Airport at any moment right now. The president again arriving at Griffiths. You can see a live picture right there. That is Marine One. Taking off, I want to say, just about 25 to 30 minutes ago from Cooperstown, and now landing at Griffiths, where the president will board Air Force One and then travel on to Chicago. Now, this has been really a whirlwind tour because he arrived at Griffiths at 2:30 this afternoon. So we're talking in just about a little more than 2 hours of a visit here to Central New York. Of course, visiting Central New York to visit Cooperstown and specifically the Baseball Hall of Fame. The president today jump-starting a tourism initiative, something that he started back in 2012 and really kicking into high gear today, talking a lot about jobs and the tourism industry and the jobs that are created because of the tourism industry. Right there, a live picture of Air Force One right there on the tarmac, right where it landed just about two hours ago. And you can see in the background there, I believe, Marine One making the approach. You can see it just above the two in the bottom of the corner, bottom of the screen in the corner there. A lot of security surrounding this entire event, this entire tour. One thing we noticed when Air Force One landed, and we saw it here live on WKTV, the actual landing, you could see already on the tarmac, you could see Secret Service. You could see state police officers and other military personnel making sure that the whole area is secure for the commander-in-chief. And right now, you can also see a number of police personnel, Secret Service. They kind of stand right there and don't really move much, but you know that they're watching everything. Right there is where the president will board. This is a massive plane, by the way. Been looking up some information on the plane, and basically, wherever the president flies, he uses Air Force One. But here's something that is pretty interesting. It doesn't necessarily have to be this specific plane. Whatever the president is in, that the Air Force is carrying him in, is considered Air Force One, because Air Force One is actually the call sign of any Air Force aircraft that's carrying the president. And this has been in practice, Air Force One being used and referred to. One of the two highly customized Boeing 747. This is actually a larger plane that they had. And oh, right there it is. You can see him coming down the runway right now, taxiing in. That's Marine One right there. Marine One, I want to say a relatively short flight from Griffiths to Cooperstown and then Cooperstown to Griffiths. And obviously a lot smaller. You can see, looking at these live pictures right here, how much smaller Marine One is and how huge Air Force One is. Anna Myler is on the tarmac there. You've been there all afternoon when the president landed, and it was really a pretty interesting sight to see. First of all, we had a couple of public officials right there at the bottom of the stairs, Anna. We had the county executive there, also the Rome mayor. And one of the things I always notice when the president gets off a plane, wherever he tours, there's usually a contingent of local people there, local officials that are there to greet him. And oftentimes they shake hands, they move on. But one of the things I noticed was that there was a rather lengthy conversation, and I was wondering, I wish I could have been a fly in the air right there to find out what it is they were talking about. It was pretty cool to see. Anna.
That's absolutely right, Don, and I was thinking the same thing, like, oh, this is a kind of lengthy conversation going on. And so I was able to catch up both with the county executive and Mayor Joe Fusco. And so I asked them what they talked about, and they said they were both very impressed with how much President Obama was caught up with the local economy, what has been going on here, and that need for jobs. And not only did they talk about how tourism can impact that, they also talked about Nano Utica and the developments happening there. So they said they were very impressed by the president's response, by his positive outlook, and his awareness of what this area needs. So they were both very happy about that. Of course, baseball came into the conversation as well. But Dawn, as you said, I've been out here all day on the tarmac, seeing watching both President Obama take off and now his arrival, getting ready to leave. And one thing that is very much worth mentioning, I think, is how this weather has really just been amazing today. There was rain in the forecast. We were worried about thunderstorms, but it's really been working out in our favor. All right, right now there are some Secret Service members getting off of Marine One, and on one side of Air Force One. Coming up on the other side that you can see is President Obama. So it's actually a much lower key atmosphere out here right now. There was a lot of hustle and bustle earlier. Same amount of security, but a little bit less activity, not as tense as earlier.
Anna, I was wondering too, there was a contingent of people who were able to meet the president, shake hands with the president when he first got off the plane after meeting with the county executive and Rome mayor. Then he made his way over to a group of people, and I saw a lot of young children. That was when he arrived at Griffith. Are there any of those types of people there now?
No, those people have all left. I was told those were family and friends of the administration, but they came here right before President Obama landed. They said their hellos, and then they left very shortly after that. So that's kind of what I meant about the hustle and bustle being a little bit lower key now.
Looking at a live picture right there of Marine One, I believe. There are a number of helicopters, Anna. One, I'm assuming, is Marine One, obviously, and then the others, I've been told in the past anyway, are oftentimes decoys or escorts for Marine One. And you can see right there, that's Marine One right there on the ground. And you still see the Secret Service making sure they have a complete perimeter of Marine One. I mean, it really is interesting to see the security that goes into a visit like this. And this happens no matter where the president goes, whether it's an international trip, whether it's a domestic trip, whether it's simply a trip to go back home to Chicago, for example. This is what has to happen in order to keep our commander-in-chief safe. This was such a... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say one thing you were saying earlier. We saw him land here at 2:30, and it's before 5, and he's already back. And just talking about the security, it's such a short visit, but this preparation has been going on for several days. The Secret Service has been in town for several days. They were taking steps to prepare for it, securing the area. We saw the Secret Service doing sweeps with dogs and making sure that everything was prepared for the president. So you're right. It's funny to think about how the president is here for such a short time, but there's certainly a lot of preparation that goes into it, and for a good reason, you know. And if he can leave here today and everything goes smoothly, then it's job well done, and I think everyone's very proud of that.
Definitely, and that's one of the things, too, that I noticed when you were reporting earlier this week down in Cooperstown, interviewing, I believe it was the mayor at the time, and he had said, yeah, a number of people have seen Secret Service making their way along the streets of Cooperstown, doing sweeps, but he wouldn't necessarily say how long the Secret Service had been in town. I'm not even sure if he knew how long the Secret Service had been in town, but it just seems like they kind of swoop in, kind of under the radar, and then people are noticing, oh, what's going on? And we actually had a number of calls here to the station over the past couple of weeks because they noticed an increase in security at Griffiths. Right here is the president getting off of Marine One, waving to the cameras right there and making his way across the tarmac right now.
Yes, he just saluted. Now he's making his way across where he will be boarding, and as we have said, he is going to Chicago, and he will be spending the night there.
And once again, you can see the security, and one of the things, too, to kind of keep an eye on is the fact, and there you see him walking up onto Air Force One. You can still see the security, not necessarily watching the president, but watching everything else, watching all of us, making sure the area is secure. One last wave and into Air Force One. Again, like we mentioned, he visited Cooperstown this afternoon. It was a quick visit. He arrived at Griffith International Airport at 2:30 this afternoon. We're about 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, so he arrived at Griffith, boarded Marine One, made his way to Cooperstown, did a quick tour of the Baseball Hall of Fame, the first sitting president to ever visit the Baseball Hall of Fame, and then did a quick, I don't want to say news conference, but made some quick remarks talking about tourism and his tourism initiative that he has going on right now. One where he says that basically talking about jobs and the jobs that are created when it comes to tourism. And one of his big focuses is trying to get as many international travelers to come to the United States and tour all the different things that we have going on here, and then obviously one of them being the Baseball Hall of Fame. There were a number of other companies and tourist destinations that were represented during the trip to Cooperstown. For example, Brewery Omegang, they were there. Also, Bill Michaels from the Fly Creek Cider Mill, he was present during the president's remarks. And the president and the White House putting out hard numbers today. The tourism industry supporting nearly 8 million jobs across the country, they say. And the president says that 175,000 jobs were created in the last 5 years thanks to international tourists. So he's definitely focusing in on that. Once again,
and Don, one point I'd like to make too is that so much of this trip has been the focus has been on Cooperstown and what it's doing for the businesses there. But one thing that I thought was interesting too is that it has had an impact here at Griffith Airport. I mean, as we have said, the Secret Service has been in town for days. They've been staying in the hotels here. They've been eating in the restaurants here. That's been contributing to the local economy. And not only that, but the national spotlight has been on Griffith Airport. So what this does is actually increases traffic here in the future, and that helps them bring in more grant monies, and that is so that, you know, that is also a trickle-down effect that is worth noting here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of the things too that I've been noticing this on Facebook. A lot of people have been tweeting this. They've been talking about this on Facebook as well and other social media. Just how cool it is to see a plane like Air Force One, a plane of that size, landing at Griffiths. I mean, over the course of 20 years or so, we've seen dwindling population in this area. We've seen less and less action at Griffiths, and to see a plane like Air Force One, the plane, landing at Griffiths, it certainly is a sight to see. I know a lot of people wanted to actually see it land, and I'm glad that we were able to capture that live here on WKTV. Once again, you're looking at live pictures at Griffiths International Airport. That is Air Force One right there. The president just boarded the aircraft, I want to say just about 3 minutes ago, from Marine One, from his trip to Cooperstown. From here, he's going to be going to Chicago. This has been a pretty busy day for the president. He started out at the White House this morning talking about tourism, talking about jobs, his jobs initiative when it comes to tourism, and specifically international tourism here to the United States, bringing in people from France, bringing in people from the UK, bringing in people from everywhere in the world to visit our country and to visit and see what we have to offer. Cooperstown, Baseball Hall of Fame, America's pastime. We learned just about I want to say 3 or 4 days ago that the president decided that he was going to be making the trip here. We learned that, like I said, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. The planning into all of this started a good 2 weeks ago at least, with the Secret Service making sweeps and making their way to the Central New York region, specifically Griffiths and specifically Cooperstown. Right now you can hear the aircraft kind of revving up a little bit, and once again you still see Secret Service standing along the perimeter right there, and now Air Force One is beginning to taxi out to the runway. Right now it is 5:54. We're just about 5 minutes away from the start of the Live at 5 News Hour. Kristen Copeland's going to be joining me here in a couple of moments here as we continue on. You're looking again at live pictures. You can see the plane moving, and it really is a spectacular sight. This is a huge plane, and when you see the people standing next to it, or even when you see the president, when they open the door up there and you can see the president walking down the stairs, you can see how massive that jet is. That plane is equipped with a lot of communication. It's equipped with a huge boardroom, so his entire staff can be on the plane with him. He can be briefed at any moment on any kind of security issue that there may be, for example. He's, like Anna was saying, she had talked with the county executive, and the county executive said that during his brief meeting with the president there on the tarmac, that the president seemed to know a lot about the local economy, for example, a lot about what's going on here when it comes to Nano, Utica, and whatnot, and specifically Cooperstown as well. Well, obviously, he's being briefed on all of that all the time, and I'm sure that his team of people had done a lot of legwork for him and started briefing him as well early today, and then obviously on the ride there, the plane ride there. Once again, you're looking at live pictures right there of Griffiths International Airport. The president getting ready to take off and on his way to Chicago. This has been a really, really quick trip. I'm thinking about it in terms of our coverage, for example, the planning that we did here at WKTV to make sure we could bring you all of this live. We've been doing all this work and everything, you know, and they come in real quick. They're here at 2:30, and now they're leaving Central New York at 5 o'clock, just about 2.5 hours here in Central New York. And that's not just Griffiths or the Rome area. He also made a trip down to Cooperstown as well, so that's pretty interesting to see. And definitely, I think, a pretty cool thing for any community to have a sitting president visit your community. Kristen Copeland joining me now.
You know, it is one of those things, whether you like the president or not, agree with him on major issues or not, this is an exciting day for Central New York. And the excitement certainly was seen by the mass amounts of people visiting Cooperstown. Of course, we've been saying how ironic it is. Here he is coming in to talk about tourism, visits the biggest attraction in Otsego County, and that attraction is closed to the public.
It has to be closed. We've been talking a lot about security here, and that's one of the things they had to do. I mean, there's been a number of road closures in the Cooperstown area. Main Street right in front of the Baseball Hall of Fame, that was certainly closed down to traffic, and a lot of foot traffic as well. It was unclear if whether a number of businesses on Main Street would even be open today because of security reasons. A number of businesses said they wanted to stay open. But yeah, people living and working in Cooperstown, this, depending on, I guess, if you like the president or not, I suppose, they're wondering, they're thinking to themselves, oh, why do I have to rearrange my life? But
well, the next trip, I think food should definitely be part of the tour.
Oh, I agree. Wouldn't that be nice?
Don't you think? And now that we're 4 days following our visit in Cooperstown on Monday, we can say this safely, that a lot of the Secret Service members, they were in tourist clothes doing sweeps around the area, and some people were catching on to it. Others probably have absolutely no idea, and they're rethinking that visit on Monday, saying, oh, I bet I did see one of them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was one of the things, too, when Anna was down there in Cooperstown and she was interviewing the mayor, and the mayor said, yeah, a number of people have said that they've seen Secret Service making their way along the streets and doing sweeps, but he wouldn't say exactly when they came into town. I'm not sure if he even knew when they originally came to town.
And there was a lot we weren't able to speak of as well. Wheels up for Air Force One. Just like that.
That easy. Once again, that is 2.5 hours, almost to the dot, arriving here at 2:30 and leaving here just before, 2 minutes before 5 o'clock en route to Chicago. So talk about a whirlwind tour, and no hiccups in the road. Whenever a president visits, obviously there's going to be a number of people from all different sides. There were some protests down in Cooperstown, and a number of people showing up for that, hydrofracking specifically, but they were in their own little corralled area. I believe we have video of that we're going to be showing you in the moments ahead here.
In the meantime, let's get right to the top of the Live at 5 News Hour. Of course, the president has an ambitious plan for boosting tourism and related jobs in the United States. He chose Central New York. He chose Cooperstown to announce that plan. He toured the Baseball Hall of Fame, of course, the biggest attraction in Otsego County. His goal, help overseas visitors come into the United States more easily and spend their money. He called this our greatest export. Tourism is our greatest export. Last year, international visitors spent a record $181 billion in the United States. We have team coverage for you tonight of this presidential visit. Air Force One arrived at approximately 2:30 this afternoon.